Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher, and I'm really excited about today's guest. He is extremely successful and he is a seasoned real estate broker and investor. He's got 8 years of hands-on experience, but more than that, he's got mindset. Check out his social media. It's really fantastic. Got tons of followers and talking about habits and discipline and becoming an entrepreneur and how to perform at your peak levels. Lucas, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show today. Look forward to chatting with you, and hopefully, I can provide something of value to the audience.
Yeah, I love that. I love it's all about leading with value. And yeah, so tell the audience about your story and how you got started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Son of immigrants. I migrated here from Brazil as a kid. My dad cleaned boats. My mom cleaned houses. And growing up, finances were always an issue for as long as I could remember. Brazil at the time was a third world country, so coming to the States, having access to resources was always a priority to me. And simply because I wanted to help. I saw my parents struggle and I wanted to solve that piece of the puzzle for them. So yeah, we migrated here. I was a kid and dropped out of basically barely finished high school, dropped out of college and got into sales at a young age, got into real estate at around 22 when I was 22 years old, became a millionaire at 28. Today I'm 31 and I have a real estate fund that has a little over 6 million of assets under management. I have a real estate brokerage, the number one real estate team in all of Seattle. We do a little over 130 transactions every single year. I own a ton of rental properties and I'm still actively buying and investing in real estate and I quote unquote living the American dream. So that's my story.
Yeah, really very inspiring and usually entrepreneurs. And Brazil's actually very one of the up and coming economies. But one thing is talking about this idea of life changing move to Seattle. Well, as I was reading your story, Seattle, how did that change you? How did looks like you found a lot of success in that market? To the audience more.
Yeah. So when I moved to Seattle, I was 19 and I was really young. I was just out of high school. And like most kids these days, there's a lack of clarity on exactly what you should do. Everyone pushes you to go the college route. Less and less kids are interested in going that direction. My reason for coming to Seattle is I knew I needed change, right? I knew that my environment that was comfortable and safe wasn't going to get me to the next level. And in reality, I was still a kid. And what it did for me is I burned the boats because I didn't know anyone in Seattle. Right. I didn't have any support. I told all my friends and family, hey, I'm going out to Seattle. So it forced me to burn the boats and take the island because I know I couldn't go back home. I know I couldn't ask for help. So it was a great maturity period for me in my life and probably one of the best decisions I've made looking back now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And there's a quote, when you burn all the boats, the universe conspires to help you achieve your goals. Yeah. You've had a really successful career in real estate. And one thing is talking about how to create habits and discipline that will change how you do business. I'm always interested in peak performance.
Yeah, man. And I wish I was taught this at an earlier age. The bulk of what we do on a daily basis is patterns. And a lot of times we followed subconscious patterns that don't necessarily serve us. Or perhaps we follow patterns that have served us at one point in our life, but no longer serves us. So I'm very aware and I'm very careful as to how I structure my patterns throughout the day. Not only habits, which are actions, but also mental patterns, right? The mental dialogues, the mental conversations that you have throughout the day. I found that for me, the thing that works best, and for a lot of my clients as well, is structuring and figuring out a morning process where you can get yourself to the highest and best mental, physical, and spiritual state to then go tackle the rest of the day, the business world, the job, the career, whatever the case might be. So for me, what that process looks like is pretty religious, is a 4:30 a.m. wake up time that I don't deviate from. My day starts at 4:30. I go in right away. I go into to 10, 15 minutes of meditation and prayer. And this is my time to realign myself spiritually to God, higher power, whatever you choose to call it. From there, I'm in the gym at 6 a.m. and we do a hard workout. So I'm doing something physically. I've done something spiritually for my spiritual well-being. Now I'm doing something physical for my physical well-being. And by 8 a.m., we're in the office. So if you think about that, I've acquired so many small wins by the time I start my workday. That momentum of winning is a fact. It's harder. Momentum is a real thing for the positive or for the negative. So that's something that I try to preach to my coaching clients. And I think if a person just focuses on creating the perfect morning process, I think that could be a huge key to that person's success over time.
Yeah, I love that. And talking to entrepreneurs these days, majority are they early to bed, like around 8, 9, 8, between 8 to 10, and they wake up really early, what you're describing, and that gives them that mental edge, and it's just fascinating where there's like these what you were describing is these habits and patterns, and being consciously of those habits and patterns, which is my next question. Is I was talking to this other guest, and she was talking about the power of her group and her mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
And as she burned the boats like you did, she was saying that she became very consciously aware of who she associated with, because she didn't want any negative influencers detracting, because she was doing things against the grain and her friends and family held her back. And so she basically acquired this skill of pattern recognition. So talk to people about that, especially when it comes to the naysayers, haters, all that.
So the world is not as it is, the world is as you are. So people tend to project and reflect their own insecurities into others. And that's just human nature in itself. I think for most individuals, and this is why the morning process and that meditation and prayer is so important, because if you do that frequently enough through months and through years, you start to realize your internal states sometimes just don't serve you. So being aware of that for yourself first makes it easier for you to become aware of when other people are bringing around limiting beliefs, negative energy, or something that doesn't serve you. And I've seen all high level producers to a certain extent, they have awareness of these things, right? And that's why high level people tend to associate with high level people, right? A high frequency energy simply does not mash well with a low frequency state. Those two don't correlate well, right?
Mm.
So I truly believe, and it's funny because I wouldn't say necessarily I'm a religious guy, but over the last few years, I believe very much in energy, right? And you could pick that up from other people, and you could harness and create the right energy within yourself that will make it much easier for you to live an enjoyable life, for you to accomplish your goals, for you to see the best in others and in yourself. So I think a lot of times entrepreneurs focus so much on the money aspect and the wealth aspect, but real wealth is that. Real wealth is living in a high emotional state, even when the world is not perfect, which, if you're an entrepreneur, the world is rarely perfect. There are always problems, but being able to rise above those problems in a high internal state is absolutely critical.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the way you said it. And the way I'm starting to view entrepreneurship is like a high level athlete. These habits and these mindsets, you may not be, but these high quality decisions, it could be small, it could be large scale. And you need that performance to be able to function at that high level. Which is the other question is, entrepreneurship is not for the faint hearted. And you talk about how to solve your struggles. The struggle is part of it, and embracing it, teaching others to do the same, learning from it. Expand that upon that.
Yeah, so I think that everything in life to a certain extent is a trade-off. So if you decide to get into entrepreneurship and you think you're not going to have any challenges or struggle, or you're not going to have to reinvent the version of yourself, you're absolutely insane. It's anything in life that you want, there is a trade off. For everything I've accomplished that has expanded my life, let's say more wealth or a new level of business or a new level of fitness, there's an aspect of struggle in there. There's an aspect of discomfort in there that you have to lean into in order for you to see the growth. And that's evolution. And that's healthy, because what's the alternative, right? What's the alternative to evolution and growing? It's you're diminishing, right? You're living less, you're contracting. And no one wants less of anything in life, right? Everyone wants a better relationship, not a worse one. Everyone wants more money, not less. So finding that dance and that balance within yourself to where you're pushing yourself, you're expanding your comfort zone, but you're doing it without wrecking yourself into the ground. You know what I mean? And that is the challenge, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs push really hard and they maybe do so for a year or 2 years, then they're sick of it. How do you stay in the game for 8 to 9 years, continually growing? How do you stay in your area for 20, 30 years, expanding and happy and fulfilled? That's the real sweet spot. And that's an internal game. So
Yeah. It's 90% mental, 10% execution. How do you encourage entrepreneurs to find their area of genius and help others flourish, do well? How do they? It's like the traditional route really doesn't allow you to do that. So how did you do it?
yeah, I think for me, so when you're starting out, you have to say yes to a lot of different things, and you have to see what things you naturally gravitate towards. I think if I were to redo it today, there's a certain logical aspect when you're starting a business where you have to look at, okay, what's the upside of this business? If I'm starting a business today, am I going to go into newspaper? Probably not the best businesses. It's on the decline, right? So when I got started in real estate, like it was pretty basic. I've noticed most millionaires became so through real estate. I'm going to go do that. And sure enough, it's a fairly easy sector for you to reach your first million in. I think trying out different things, being comfortable with failing initially, small failures. If you could take these small failures that don't break you at the start until you find something that you naturally feel some traction towards. And then when you do feel that traction, I think that what most people miss is you figure out you want to be in this sector. The very first thing you should do is go hire the best person, the best mentor, the best coach you could possibly afford in that sector. And if you could find a free mentor, a free coach, someone that's close to you, that's willing to really take you under their wing, even better. And you want to find a person that has literally accomplished what you're looking to accomplish. That is the easiest way for you to find success in any area of life.
Yeah, that's like some of the best advice is find people that are doing what you want to do. And of course, sometimes it costs thousands, 10,000s of 20 of dollars, but most people don't want to pay that. And that's why but if you do, if you put in the work, you definitely see the results.
100%. And also on that note, one thing that I've noticed is when I was starting out and I had no money, it was easier to find mentors. Once you get to a certain point, you will have to pay for mentors. You will have to pay for access. It's just the way it is. If I'm a multimillionaire and I want to get to 100 million, the best person for me to learn to how to get to 100 million is a person that has gotten to 100 million. That person's not going to be found at your local bar. Access to that individual is usually very difficult because that's a person that's in high demand. So normally the only way for you to get access to higher level people as you grow is either by having a great network or by paying for access. And when I noticed for me is I still have mentors and coaches to this day. And I've paid for masterminds that are $35,000 a year for a mastermind. And I've gotten 10x the value out of it. right? Simply because of the people that I met, the knowledge that I've learned. And what happens is when you paid that money, I cut a check for $35,000. Do you think I'm going to sit in every single meeting? Do you think I'm going to take notes, ask questions? You're damn right. Now, what if it was free? Would I be as engaged? Probably not. So I think to a certain extent, paying for mentorship, paying for coaches gets you more bought in to what you're looking to accomplish. And you need that.
Yeah. And I love that. And it's almost as opposed to trading your time and failing and floundering, you basically have resources, financial resources, and you allocate it accordingly. And so it's like that those resources help you to fast track your way to success. It's like
that's exactly it. And on a quick note, think about why these tech companies are so successful. They get to hire the smartest people and put them to work on a project at scale. They solve problems way quicker, way faster, which then allows them to make way more money, right? It's brilliant. And so you could do that in your own level, in your own scale, figure out an area of life that you're looking to improve, go out and hire the best person you could get access to in that area and solve that area. If it's money, go out and hire a financial coach or a business coach. If it's fitness, go into the gym, find the most jacked individual you could find and say, what do you do? Tell me exactly what you do. Take my money, hold me accountable, and you get results.
Yeah, I love that. And as we come to the conclusion, one thing is, what are your keys to success, and how can people contact you? You have a large social media following on Instagram and YouTube, and tell people how they can find you and contact you.
Yeah. So in regards to your first question, the key to success, look, it's if you just keep hammering on something over and over again, if you find a process that works for you, you find something where you're gradually improving yourself and you just don't quit, you will achieve whatever you're looking to achieve. If you get crystal clear about what you want, you figure out these are the actions that will get me to that thing, and you just repeat that for as long as it takes, you will achieve your goal. Now, that's mundane. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. People are looking for abs in 30 days, 90K in 90 days. They're looking for quick results. And any substantial success that usually doesn't come overnight. There's usually a lot of work that's done in the background before you see the overnight success. But learn how to fall in love with the process and stick to it. You can find me on Instagram. Instagram is usually the best place. My Instagram is Luke, Luke, underscore is underscore winning. Luke underscore is winning. Feel free to send me a message in regards to anything. I'm an open book. I'm always looking to help. And yeah, you could find me there.
And very inspiring podcast and so many nuggets of wisdom. And for all the audience out there, Lucas's resources will be in the links and show notes, and be sure to check him out. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. Till next time.